Awesome, Kyle. Thanks for coming on the show, man. I've been following you for a while. I know you're out here crushing it. But for those who may not know, just start off by explaining who you are and a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Cool. My name's Kyle Novak. I'm in Northeast Ohio, Akron, Canton area. Um, for a day job, I build power lines for AEP, so I'm a lineman. And then I just turned 30 years old a few months ago, and I have been buying and rentals and flipping houses since I was 23, so about 7 years. Um, Went through the evolution of, wholesaling, finding my own deals, direct seller marketing, to flipping, raising capital, um, scaling a portfolio, like kind of hiring our own property management in-house. Um, so done a lot of different things and finally got some good focus and direction. Um, took a while, took a few years of trial and error, but we're still here and learned a lot over the years. And then a couple of years ago, I joined and bought ownership of a real estate education company in Northeast Ohio as well. So besides the job, the actual investments, the education company, and a wife, a dog, any other hobbies, it's basically all time gone.
Yeah, man, I'm sure it is. That's really cool though. Like, and it's really, I'd like to just speak on this for a second. Like, a lot of the people that I talk to, they're either full-time in real estate or they want to get out of their job to be full-time. What's kept you kind of leveraging both at this moment?
So in terms of actually owning the real estate, I
Yeah.
have a partner on that. His name's Rocco. We've been partners for 4 years. Um, and basically what kept us in our jobs is there's been a couple points we almost quit
Yeah.
where when we were wholesaling, like we had a few good months of wholesaling where we were making killer money. And then on the flip side, we had a few months of wholesaling where we lost money, right?
Yeah.
So um, we had a few times where we were close to quitting. I would say the two main reasons we are still at our job is neither of us have kids, so it's not like a crazy huge strong pull to leave. Um, we both have good jobs, so they're high paying, so that makes it a little harder to leave. And then they both are pretty flexible in terms of timeline, what you can get away with at work type of stuff. So um, that is the main reasons we have not quit. But definitely that is the near term goal. I actually just talked to Rocco a few weeks ago and said, yeah, we need to exit sooner than later. We've
Right.
know what we're doing. We've got a good flow and system. Um, And even if things did get worse, it's more just like overall happiness. Like I'm finally at the point where like, I just want to control my time more. Um, the job is good, absolutely appreciate it. Um, Gave me a lot of stability for a long time, but kind of getting close to ripping the Band-Aid off. And kids for me are going to be coming sooner than later, so I just don't want to have. I don't want to ship my kids off to daycare 5 days a week and that type of thing. So for me, the job hopefully is coming to an end here shortly.
Hey man, hey, I don't see anything wrong with the job at all. Like, I myself am full time, but I didn't come from I didn't ever have a good job. I used to deliver pizza, so it wasn't hard for me to decide, hey, I'm not doing this
Right,
anymore.
right.
But I always tell people if you have like I have a friend that works with the US the postal service, and he's always talking about getting out and doing full time, but I'm like, man, stay there as long as you can.
Yeah.
Until you're really at that point, like where you're at, like it sounds like you're at that point where it's going to happen soon, sooner than later, like you said. So that's really cool, man. I applaud you for managing all of that. That's my next question. Like, you said you have no time. So how are you like turning everything off, man? Like when it is time to just get rid of the job out of your mind and rid of the business out of your mind.
You mean turning things off more mentally?
Yeah.
Honestly, it's tough. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there are definitely times where it's like, you know, it's definitely constant, right? It's like I have a full day of actual calendar events like I
Yeah.
need to do, and like we're buying a house. That's why I have to leave here at 12:30. I have to go close. Um, but then in between there, it's just the like random stuff that happens. So like for instance, I just got a lead from my education group, underwrote it real quick. I can't control when that happens, when that lead gets sent to me, right? So
Yeah.
then, I'm trying to deal with that in between. So there are definitely still, because me and Rocco are still decently involved, there are definitely days where it's like 10 p.m. and I just have to take care of stuff. Um, so I will still definitely have to, once I quit, that will be one main goal is to like then shift it to where it's like, hey, it is work hours or not work hours type of thing. But I think that will be a growing pain of when to turn it off. But I definitely have nights where it's like I'm getting ready for bed. It's 9, 10 o'clock. I got work in the morning, and then, you know, a private lender has a question on a deal, whatever it is, it just that call happens. And
Yeah.
then my mind's turning the whole time while I'm trying to go sleep. And um, yeah, that's definitely a downside. One benefit to keeping the job is it has forced us to be efficient and
Yeah.
hire things. So we don't ever swing the hammer. We don't deal with any tenants. We don't chase rent. We use systems, processes, and people to handle all that. So me and Rocco have very defined roles now. We don't step on each other's toes. He's good at his roles. I'm good at my roles. And then we have two full-time employees that handle a lot of the detail and day to day. So the job has forced us to do that, which was actually, I think, made us skip a step because if we would have quit, I would have been doing bookkeeping for $10 an hour when I could hire that out, right?
Yeah.
So um, that is one benefit to the job is if you do start to scale and you have a job, it kind of forces you to run it like a business and not work in the business.
Yeah, man, I'm happy we're having this conversation. I haven't had anybody else have this conversation with me on the show, so it's really cool to hear. And I know there's going to be a lot of people who watch it that can relate to this or that's questioning, should I quit my job? So I think that helps out a lot. And it sounds like you and Rocco have a really balanced partnership. A lot of the times when people start partnerships, it's because they have a friend that wants to do what they want to do, and usually they both do the same stuff, and it's just not really a good partnership.
Yeah.
How did y'all's partnership come to be?
So it's actually really funny. So I knew Rocco just through like friends of friends of friends. I met him at like a party in Cleveland when I was young. And we just kind of stayed in touch over social media, Facebook friends. And then one day I seen he was buying a house to flip. I had a few rentals at the time, so I reached out to him and, just kind of built that connection, randomly small talk. And then one day, um, I was walking a house to buy in Canton from a wholesaler, and he was there as a buyer as well. And so we started talking, and basically I told him, I was like, hey, instead of bidding this house up and fighting each other, why don't we bid this down? Like, you pull your offer, go half with me. And that's what we did. We actually got a price reduction on it. Instead of us fighting each other, we joined forces and kind of put the leverage in our court because the wholesaler had less buyers. So yeah, we bought that house and just kind of struggled through it. We made every decision together at first. We had a contractor steal money, um, but we actually made money on it. We sold it, and then after that, we did one or two more, and then we made official like 20, I think February 2020 we actually formed an LLC together, had an operating agreement, and then started wholesaling and direct seller marketing and defining roles and stuff like that. And it's changed over the years, like when you enter a partnership with business, like legitimately, you have to highly, highly consider who that person is. Like it
Yeah,
is not a joke. It is almost your second marriage.
yeah,
It is not easy to exit. You're gonna fight. You're gonna like it's. I think people oversimplify or like maybe not simplify. Um, they don't put enough time and thought into who their partner is,
sure.
or even like who your partner's wife is,
Yeah,
because that all affects you. Like
yeah,
now, me and Rocco were partners. If I were to get, I'm married, he's not. If I were to get a divorce, that heavily affects him.
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of things to consider there. So, and you nailed it on the head earlier where you said, you know, need to have opposite strengths and
Yeah.
roles. And me and Rocco are 100% opposite. Like
That's
literally
awesome.
couldn't be more opposite. Well, it's good in most ways, but it's bad at first because you're trying
Yeah.
to learn each other and feel each other out and meet a medium. Um, but like being, hindsight being 2020, looking back, 100% glad me and Rocco are partners because he is strong where I'm weak and vice versa. So, um, yeah, if you and your buddy just want a partner because you're buddies and you trust each other, trust is a huge part. Like trust is definitely important. But if you both are the sales guys and good at finding deals and negotiating, that's cool. But who's gonna handle the detail, book work, design, like accounting, construction management, all that stuff. So um, I got lucky in that aspect.
That's awesome, man. It's good to hear. And I know there's going to be somebody listening that's just getting started right now and their friend wants to be their partner. You guys need to listen to Kyle right now and just really take that in and make the right decision. Um, so you guys aren't currently wholesaling at all, right? Like you guys are just the buyers?
Yep. So we wholesaled from like 2020 to 2022.
Yep.
And during COVID things got weird, right?
Yeah.
So like things just got super weird during COVID. So I think it was June of 2022. We've been wholesaling for a while. We had multiple full-time employees on the wholesale business. We were managing our own. We didn't have a full-time assistant at the time, but we were spending about 19 grand a month on marketing to wholesale. And to us, that was a huge number. Um, and we had a few months where we made 60 grand on assignment fees. So we netted around 50, or sorry, around 40 grand for a few months in a row.
Yeah.
And we're like, we're killing it. We're the best, right? We're like,
Yeah.
this is easy, right? And then rates started going up, things started getting iffy with the economy. And then right when we had our like three best months, we had our three worst months.
Yeah.
And, you know, the month after that, we only signed like 5 grand, but still spent 19. So then we had a few months of that. Um, so that's when I sat down and looked at the data. So data, Rocco provides the data, he organized the data, but I'm more the visionary CEO role of like, where am I going to steer this ship? And
Yeah.
then he actually steers the ship. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So I sat down, looked at the data, and said, hey, like half the deals we did last year were not from our own marketing. Like we bought them from other wholesalers,
Yeah.
agents, whatever. So like we can still buy rentals and flips without marketing and doing the wholesale thing. Because a lot of people want to market and do direct seller marketing and just buy their own deals, but it's almost impossible. I've seen
Yeah.
a million people try it because you're going to get deals you don't want. You're going to get deals that maybe you can't handle at the time because you don't
Yeah.
have enough money or contractors. So if you're going to direct to seller market, you almost have to wholesale to some degree. Um, so yeah, basically we decided, hey, we're kind of bleeding right now. A lot of buyers exited the market during 2022 with rates coming up,
Cool.
especially like hedge fund buyers. And um, yeah, so we decided to pull the plug on it completely. We fired the four people. All of them were, except for one, were VAs, and shut down the marketing and said, okay, we're just gonna flip and buy rentals now. And we still have a huge buyers list and great relationships. Like I'm doing a couple JV wholesales now that I'll still do
Yeah.
randomly. But basically, through learning the hard way, I always knew you have to have some sort of active side of income, whether that be wholesaling or flipping or whatever, and you want the long-term passive stuff, right? So um, we basically changed from wholesaling to flipping and still buy rentals and um, yeah, so that's how that looks. We learned a lot during the direct seller marketing. We spent a lot of money on it. We had systems and processes. Um, but we were just at a crossroads where we either had to quit our jobs and go all in on it and make the wholesaling work, or we had to stop the bleeding. So we decided to
Sure.
stop the bleeding.
Hey, that probably was a good decision, man. I've been there too, as a wholesaler myself. there's times where I've seen my expenses just go way too overboard and ended up with myself bleeding, and I had to do what
Yeah.
you did and cut back. Um, so flipping, man, I know we don't have that much time, but I know flipping is a whole different ball game. There's a lot more moving parts than just, hey, I'm getting you under contract and assigning you, right?
Yeah.
So how are you guys managing that?
So I find all the deals. I underwrite all the deals. I make all the offers. I decide what we buy and not. Um, Rocco's a realtor, so he will run comps along with me. And then I raise all the capital. So that's been one of my strong suits is since I started, one of my first mentors was like, hey, banks are stupid, don't use them, raise capital, do all this off-market stuff. I kind of got exposed to that early on, thankfully. So I've raised private capital for almost all of my deals, except for like my house hacks. Um, so yeah, I find the deal. I raise the capital from the investor, so they put up all the money for the purchase and rehab. And normally I raise a little extra. Little pro tip, you raise a little extra to cover other costs. Basically I use their money to pay them back throughout the whole time. Um, and then me and Rocco, then I kind of pass off to Rocco, and Rocco's managing all the contractors, back end accounting, bookkeeping stuff, and then he will list it for sale. And then we have a full-time bookkeeper that he is managing, and then we have a full-time like executive assistant that's doing all property management for the rentals and anything else we need her to do. She's local though; she is here. Um, the bookkeeper is a VA. So just with us four, we can, on average, we do 20 to 30 deals a year.
That's awesome, man. That's good money right there.
Yeah.
Uh, and from my experience, I know sometimes, you might not get what you want, but from my experience, once you become the buyer and you start closing on these things, you just start making more money.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely where some of the more money is for sure,
Yeah.
but it's also where the most risk is because now you have
Yes.
to own the house, you have to manage the contractor. I mean, we lost a little over 100 grand this year from a bad contractor. So that is a risk.
Yeah.
Then you have to actually then sell it. You have to go through the appraisal, the inspection with the retail buyer. So 100% there's more money normally, but there is definitely more risk. And for me, risk is just not knowing what you're doing. So as you gain more experience, you can have the same deal with two different operators and have way different risk. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Total
So
sense.
now that me and Rocco are pretty experienced operators, and I don't mean to say that like I know everything. We are learning every day still, but we are fine buying a little thinner deals because we have our contractors in place. We know what our money is. We know our cost. Um, so that has helped, right?
Yeah.
Versus if it's your first flip and you're buying a thin deal and you don't have no cash reserves and you're leveraged to the hilt, it can be pretty rough if it goes
Yeah.
south.
That's awesome, man. I mean, I know you're a busy guy, you got a lot going on. What are you doing to just not do business and not work? Like, what do you do in your free time?
Yep. Um, so it's changed somewhat over the years, but I've always been a car guy. So I'm big into cars. In the summer, I do a lot of car stuff, drives, meetups, go to different shops, look at different cars and stuff. Um, so cars, I try to work out for fun and just health.
Yeah.
Try to lift as much as I can. And then the last like 8 months, I've gotten real big into pickleball. So I've been playing the shit out of pickleball. Um, and then me and my wife are big foodies and travelers, so we go out to eat a lot, plan vacation, stuff like that. But I'm also fine with a good movie too. Um, I'd say it's mainly those three things.
Awesome. So it's good to hear that you are taking some time away, you know what I mean, and doing some
Yeah.
things with your wife and you guys. That's awesome, man. So what does the rest of the year look like for you and Rocco?
So this year, we are trying to do 30 flips, like actually completed. Um, And really, we used to set a lot of goals in different ways,
Yeah,
but this year I wanted to just focus and say, hey, if we actually complete 30 flips in this year, that will handle a lot of the other issues. We already have a good amount of rentals. We don't need to go crazy buying any random rental. We will still buy rentals, but we are pickier about those now. I'm not trying to scale a 500 door D class rough area portfolio.
yeah,
Uh, we already have some of those. So we are trying, if we buy zero rentals, I'm fine with that this year. Um, if the right deal presents itself and it doesn't make sense as a flip, we will keep as a rental.
sure.
But main focus and just we basically just set one goal, and that is to complete 30 flips. Um, and that should net a nice number to then handle a lot of other problems. And yeah, so that's really it. I mean, in terms of me and Rocco, it is just how many deals can I find, how much capital can I raise, and how many contractors can he run? And those are your three biggest buckets of real estate. There's some obviously a lot of detail to that, but most of your revenue generating activities are in those three buckets. And that's where I like to focus and stay.
Awesome, man. Yeah, you're on point, man. I can tell you've made a lot, you've had a lot of losses that you've had to learn from. I can tell, you know.
Yep.
So I know we're running out of time. We're about to hop off here, but before we go, let's talk a little bit about your education. So who is your preferred student? Is it somebody that wants to wholesale, flip, all of the above, and how do they reach out to you?
Cool. I've got till about 12:30 even, so
Okay.
as much as I can be off by then should be fine. So yeah, on the education company, I own that with a different partner. His name's Danny.
Okay.
He started years before I met him, and then we met and end up doing that deal. So in terms of the education side, our kind of target avatar, and it's changed some because we've learned a lot in that business too, is probably someone that knows not a complete newbie.
Yeah.
Like, we do have some complete newbies in the group, but they get more bang for your buck when you're not a complete newbie. You at least have a deal or two under your belt. You know the terms. The idea of off-market deals. That type of thing. Normally, want to have some sort of stable income.
Yep.
Whether that be your own business, a job. It doesn't mean you have to make a lot of money. Just something stable to where you're not in absolute dire need for money,
Yep.
and someone that wants to scale, really. Our main thing is helping people scale.
Sure.
It's Danny's business. He owns his own real estate. Me and him don't own any real estate together. We just own the education company. His looks very similar to mine. He still has a very good W-2 job, so he's had to, you know, do the same things me and Rocco do. Um, so because of that, we are very good at like being efficient and that type of stuff. So, um, for instance, one of our like a member I like to brag about, his name's Dave. He started out as a private lender of mine. I met him at a party randomly through friends of friends of friends and got him to lend me money on a few deals. And he was like, "Hey, Kyle, like this is cool and all, but like I think you're making more money than I am on each of these deals, and I'm putting up
Yeah.
all the money." And so we went through that conversation. He joined the group last year, beginning of last year, and he did three flips and bought four rentals his first year because we, showed him all the off-market stuff. He had his own funds already. He didn't really have to raise capital. But he has a good W-2 job. He's older. And for
Yeah.
him, he just wanted to use it to retire early. Um, so yeah, we gave him contractors. We just walked him through the steps of how to find deals off market and get a flow going there, and then how to manage contractors. And I mean, he made an extra. I think he made 87 grand from those three flips net, and then he bought four rentals, and he pays $150 a month to be in the group, and he's stoked. Like you know. Um, so I would say that's kind of like our ideal, like someone that knows what they're doing in terms of just general knowledge of real estate, but wants to scale and really understand the off-market side and get efficient. Um, Me and Danny's education group is more of a background consulting thing and
Yeah.
community. So me and Danny are always here to answer questions, but we have 100 members in the group now, I think 102, and the community helps each other. Like it's
Yeah.
not just me and Danny answering questions. You post a question in the group and you may get 50 answers, you might get 20, but everyone's giving their input and connections and um, yeah, we are big on community and everyone helping each other, not just like sell a one-time course and you never hear from us. We don't have any courses to sell really. It's all in-person stuff and like ongoing consulting. So
I like that. I think that if you're going into like if I'm trying to be educated, I feel like buying into the community is the right way to go versus buying into one person teaching you everything. I love the community aspect of things, and that's what I look for when I'm joining something. And you
yeah,
mentioned the very low price to it to potentially make a whole lot of money. So,
yeah.
how can people reach out to you about that?
So anyone can friend me on Facebook, Kyle Novak. I'm in Northeast Ohio. The education company's website is just roundtowngo.com. Um, I can either like type that in the chat or text it to you, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's our website. You can see kind of what we do there, past events. We're actually holding an event tonight, so that's one of my to-do lists is so our Roundtown Go hosts networking events every other month. So we do 6 a year and it's just casual networking, but we get like 70 to 100 people in a room that are all Northeast Ohio investors, contractors, vendors, we'll have flooring reps there, whoever, uh, and we pay for all the food and drinks and just let people network and have a good time, right? So there's not a lot of hardcore education at those networking events, but the connections you can meet are crazy. So,
Yeah.
um, you'll see some of that on there, and then on the website, there'll just be a intake form. Just put in your name, email, phone number, and if you are interested in learning more about what the group offers and the costs and everything, and then I'll reach out to you personally and see if it's a good fit.
Awesome. Yes, definitely message me that link on Facebook and I'll put it in the description so people can click it and go to it. So yeah, man, Kyle, thanks for coming on today. It was a pleasure talking with you. If you could, leave these people that's watching with one last thing. It could be life, business, whatever you feel that could bring them value. What would that last thing be?
Hmm, it's a good question. Um, there's so many things that run through my head when you ask that question, but um, something that comes top to mind is just do try and focus on what you're good at and what you like doing. And normally they're similar. There are a lot of things that need done, but you can either hire that out, get a partner to do that, whatever. I think through normal education life, we're taught you have to be good at everything. And if you don't know something, just go learn it. But I think in real business life, the money is in focus and consistency on a few things that you're really good at. And my two things are finding deals and raising capital. So those are the two things I do the most. Um, and those are the two things I like to do. And it's normally people like things they're good at anyway, naturally. Um, So I guess that would be my tip is, figure out what your kind of superpower is. It could be a multitude of things. If you're the detail person, the, sales guy, whatever that is.
Awesome, bro. I think that's a very good tip. I appreciate you today, man. Good luck on your closing, and hopefully I can have you back on and talk to you again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on and just let me know and we'll do another one.